Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party! Yeah! We got a great theme today.
Yes. The theme
What is
for
it? Yes.
today's show
What is it, Matt?
is something that we've all loved for years and years and years. In fact,
Really loved.
It was spawned from a movie that I saw in the theater when it came out, yes. We are talking about Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes! God, I love Planet of the Apes.
We all do. And what Planet of the Apes podcast... I mean, what would we have if we didn't have the Planet of the Apes expert of our lifetime? My friend, my mentor, my occasional fuck buddy, Dana Gould.
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing more straight than two heterosexual dudes getting it on.
Yes. It's, it's like when you spot someone when you're lifting weights.
You saw it in the theater upon its initial release. You must have been 4.
I was. And I was taken to a movie. A movie that was rated G, like... The Jungle Book is rated G?
Yeah.
Like
in
Pinocchio?
this movie, people are shot in the throat.
Yeah.
A man is stuffed.
Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute.
A lot of great shocks in that movie.
I don't remember it being G. Wasn't it GP?
No, Conquest was the only one that was GP.
That's right.
No
There you go.
way.
Back in the day,
I don't know.
if a man and a woman
kidding.
were in bed together, then it was PG or R. Anything other than that was G automatically.
So a man and an ape is okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so our topic is apes, and I'm Larry Stroth,
I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
And I'm James Gonis.
and it's all apes. It's Go Ape.
We are going ape.
We are going ape.
We're going ape.
And you know what I think is so amazing is that film came out in 1968, and here we are, 2014, and apes are still with us.
Yeah.
More than ever.
Reinvented to the point where it's now actually good again.
Right. As my dad would say, well, now it's all computers. You like the apes? They're all computers.
Yeah.
What's interesting, and Frank Dietz, the actor and writer, has a theory that that Landon survived the hunt.
Yeah.
And was then felled in a terrible mule shoeing incident. His scar really does look like he just caught a mule hoof. It's a perfect, okay.
You know, it's
From a talking horse.
That was the thing that really messed me up.
Yeah.
On that, and I mean, the great thing about the first movie,
Classic Planet of the Apes,
is that
with Charlton Heston.
Yes.
No, the other one.
No, the Mark Wahlberg one, which is the only one I acknowledge.
Thank you.
We're not going to go there. Okay, keep going.
I meant the Japanese Time of the Apes.
Yes.
But wait a minute. Let's build it. Let's base.
But he, that, when I saw that in the commercial, that really spooked me because it was like, oh no, if they talk, just cut their brains out.
Yeah.
Right.
It was really kind of a nice, creepy. It was there's a
so
bunch
great.
of great pulpy B movie. It's a great B movie. It's it's a great B movie. It's the best episode of the Twilight Zone ever.
Right.
Right.
Well,
Well,
and the minute you get to a planet and everyone's speaking English, all the apes are speaking English, wouldn't you just immediately go, "Oh, I guess I'm on Earth again"?
Yeah, but Dana, I'm sorry, I have to take issue with you because I don't. I mean, you say it's a great
God.
B. No. I'm just saying you say it's a great B movie, but my friend, it when that film was being funded, and being put together, it was not a B film.
Well, no,
It was an A film.
It was quite a risk.
No, I know.
And Charlton Heston was an A actor.
Absolutely.
So-
But my point being, it had Franklin Schaffner. It was a script by Michael Wilson, who wrote Bridge on the River Kwai. I mean, it was a giant production, and it cost a huge amount of money for 1967.
It had a pedigree.
Yes.
Right, but it's a B movie. It's an action
pulp
adventure movie.
sci-fi.
It's a great action adventure
Yeah,
movie.
I see what you're saying.
It's as Charlton Heston said, and I agree with him because it's not a great movie, but it's a great movie. It's a
You can't fight that logic.
but
it's not an important movie, but it's a great movie.
But now, does something then later become important? Because I think it actually there's so much going on. First, there's the basic sci-fi concept, but then you get into all the other.
I'm not going to be the guy that attacks Planet of the Apes. It's okay. I'll say this.
Okay.
Its first order of business is to entertain.
Yes,
Sure. Like every motion picture.
No, I would say the 2001. Its first, he was saying something better. It was like I think that they didn't really have a high-minded. It's an allegory.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
But it's a pulp allegory. It's a Twilight Zone allegory.
And Rod Serling, that's kind of the
Yeah.
those are the sort of stories he told. They
Right.
were not very. They usually weren't. They were pretty obvious. They weren't drenching in
Right.
subtext. It was a very simplistic, moralistic story, and that's what you get with Planet of the Apes. But it's done
It's an
so
O. Henry.
well.
It's an O. Henry story,
Yes.
Totally.
Okay.
as opposed to a Dickens novel.
Right.
Sure.
Plus, once you say that, like, I'm just bad mouthing movies and cinema today, but back then, 1968, they made great escapist movies. That just had, you know what I mean, like.
It's a great movie. It's a. I've described it as, it's perfect. I mean, I think
Right.
it's perfect.
I mean, one of the things I love
but
about
I would put it on par with Jaws.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, easily.
Sure.
I mean,
But I don't think that Jaws.
It's an
No one
important-
walks out of there going, "Wow, that movie changed the way I see my life."
Well, it really made you think.
It's a great, entertaining movie.
Well, I think
what part of my brain, my subconscious, is that shark?
As opposed to
Trying to
like,
bite at the
Yeah.
feet of my.
Well, it's true. It's
inner
true. I
hate.
mean, Planet of the Apes really does make you think. Jaws, I mean, not quite so much.
I mean, Jaws is
yeah.
a perfect B movie too in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I mean, but when you were talking about,
I don't think
Twilight
be
Zone-
nice to animals is a giant heavy message.
yeah.
Well, that's not the thing I get out of it. Though.
But don't forget the source of the movie, The Planet of the Apes, too. Like you mentioned, Twilight Zone. It was a book, but the movie, the script with Rod Serling's involvement, did have some substantial changes.
Yeah.
Very Twilight Zone like.
Totally, yeah. It's built like a Twilight Zone.
Well, some of the early episodes of Twilight Zone were like, three astronauts land on a planet and they're like, where the hell are we?
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah. As I said, there are two things that stick out to me in the movie. There's only one thing that dates the movie, and that's Lucius, the hippie ape.
Right.
No.
Hey man, you're not groovy at all, man.
He is not a hippie ape. He is a young ape.
He's like against the establishment.
yeah.
He's
But that's what
grown up.
No. This is something that all like teenagers. There's the teenage angst thing.
Rebellion period.
That I think it's not just because he's a hippie and that kind of dates it. No, I think he represents the young angst teenage
Of the
kid.
late '60s, who's saying never trust anyone over 30.
I
It's
don't,
then
I
parroted
don't think
to him.
teenagers of today are saying that as well.
I don't think they say that.
Well,
I think they say never trust anyone over 21.
You know what they say now?
What?
I don't know. Whatever.
And the other great one is when it's sort of this, when Charlton Heston says to Nova, "Did I tell you about Stuart? There was a lovely girl. She was the most precious cargo we brought along. She was to
wrong with
be
that?
she was to be the new Eve with our hot and eager help, of course."
Yeah, that's a
I bet she thought she was the geologist.
Yep.
Yeah, I bet those. Well, now that we've landed, you better crack the seal on Operation New Eve. Let's see what that's all about.
However, I will
Well,
say
we have our orders.
Yeah, inspect this rock.
but
I want to go before Dodge.
See,
That's
but
all I'm saying.
What you guys are saying though is like that. All of the astronauts on the ship knew that they were going to come to a Planet of the Apes type world, but that's not the case. I don't think
Why did they bring a couple more girls though?
At least
because you only need
All fell on Stewart.
yeah,
Well,
they
they
could
said-
even it up a little bit.
They had the reason that she was there. I don't know why it was a woman. It was pretty crazy, but it was she was dead.
Yes.
From the first frame. It was
Yeah.
the first.
Right.
And there was a second
It
where
was
they
the
went.
first spooky.
Well, we
thing.
could still fuck her, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that was the original intention. I think their idea was they were going to go out into space to find life on another planet, and then they get caught in this thing where it
Yeah.
just.
Well, they knew that-
Until their
But-
dick got hard, and then all bets were off.
But they knew what that was happening to them, and then in the next movie, it became a time warp. It's like, no, they knew they were getting older. That was
That's
the
true.
plan.
Yeah. That
And then the
Hassline
and then
curve.
Hassline theory.
but then Brent's like, well, I don't know. Somehow we've gone through a time where no, if you did what he did, you know what you did,
Yeah.
and it's a different year.
Remember our orientation? Hello?
Planet of the Apes takes place in 3978, and Beneath takes place in 3955. Just watch the movie.
Yeah, they go back. They go back in time.
Right, yeah.
Watch it one time.
Sloppy.
Yeah, the dialogue has been recorded on on celluloid.
And the fin of your ship is the Jupiter 2's stairs.
Wow.
Is it?
Yes. Wow. If you look at the
wow.
crash scene in Beneath, it's the Jupiter 2 stairs turned upside down.
It's funny because it always bugged me that the ship in Beneath was a little. It didn't look quite as cool
And
as
it has
the first one
and
did.
it has a blast space about 12 feet long. It kiss the sand.
Exactly. But moving from Planet of the Apes to Beneath the Planet of the Apes, I thought to myself when I saw it for the first time, it's like, how can you possibly top Planet of the Apes and that amazing ending, that very iconic ending? But it was so creepy and dark.
Well, they put James Franciscus kind of through like a
Yeah.
Reader's Digest version of
Yeah.
the first movie to get to the meat of the second half.
Yeah.
in a way, right? But as a
Yeah.
kid, you watch it like you didn't care. It was apes. And
No.
Well, they
Jim
didn't.
showed up and
Yeah, they originally, when they wanted to do a sequel, and they did a sequel, at that time, big movies didn't have sequels.
This film commanded.
Charlton Heston didn't want to be in it.
No.
And they didn't find that out till later. They had written. Pierre Boulle had done a treatment called Planet of the Men, where Taylor and Nova had a son, and that son grows up and he leads a war against the apes. And Rod Serling,
I didn't know that one.
yeah, and at the end of the movie, the humans have taken over, and there's a trained orangutan in a circus, and they give him a sugar cube, and he stutters his name. Dr. Zayas.
No.
Yeah, that's true. That was Pierre Boulle's version. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
But there's
and Dick Zanuck said, not good enough was his review. And then Rod Serling wrote one where it was, it was just kind of like, he finds a ship and then another ship lands and he has an opportunity to go back, but he stayed. It wasn't until Paul Dane, who had written Goldfinger, got involved that he introduced this other element, which was the mutants, and he was obsessed with nuclear war. And what it was just like, it is one of the most dark, disturbing, freakish,
Twisted.
major motion pictures.
Oh, yeah.
it really is.
What if there was a race of horribly disfigured radioactive mutants that were telepathic and lived in the rubble of a dead city
And
that
worshipped a
worshipped an
bomb.
atomic bomb like a god? Okay.
Well, it's also like
Then now it's going to get weird.
it's also like sequel mentality. At the end of the first movie, okay, the Earth has basically been destroyed and left to the apes. What are you going to do to follow that up? Well, you destroy it all over again. This time for real.
It really destroyed.
But I'll never forget the first time because I saw the first one in the theater, but all the rest of them I saw on TV.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Beneath the Planet of the Apes for the first time, and the minute you get to mutants and somebody pulls off their face and it's a mutant, I'm like, this may be the greatest movie ever.
Yeah, that was.
I was really disturbed when I saw it.
Yeah,
though. I
it's
was
disturbing.
Yeah, but
freaked
it's
out.
but for a monster fan, you're like,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I was a monster fan, but still, when they got to that point,
Yeah.
Matt, when they started to, oh mighty God,
Yeah.
and
And
started-
worshiping the bomb, I was like,
Oh
this
my
is
gosh.
berserk.
Well, there was never anything like it before.
Right.
No.
But then when they get to the end and Taylor blows up the Earth.
well,
and then
first Brent is horribly.
Oh my God,
everyone's
machine-gunned
killed, right?
against the
Everybody's
wall.
killed.
but he's just, I mean, they
Nova
riddle
is
him with
killed.
bullets.
Sorry for spoilers. If you're listening to this, I think you've all seen the movies. But yeah.
Now, come on. Every time I ever hear a high pitched whine anywhere, the first thing I think is kill Nova. Kill Nova.
You just watch that movie and you just think, is anybody gonna fuck her?
Was
that's
she
the real
just
tragedy of Beneath the Planet.
was she just amazing though? She was absolutely gorgeous.
She was
Linda
Miss
Harrison,
Maryland.
just
Oh,
absolutely
man.
love her.
Yeah.
Mrs. Richard Zanuck.
Yes,
And
yes,
Miss Maryland.
yes,
So yummy.
And I
One word in 2 movies.
well, she
doesn't
does
really
a better
get the,
she does a better job than that.
It was actually in
No,
the
no.
script. It's Flavin is her line.
You know what's so great is
The Jerry Lewis pass.
Yeah. I've met her a couple
Mr.
times
Mr. Lewis
at
to the pass.
a few of these autograph shows, and she could
Very
not
sweet.
be lovelier.
Yeah, very
And
sweet.
she's just absolutely wonderful.
very
lady.
nice.
And she still looks great.
But
come on, when you
I
hear,
had her sign an 8x10.
Yeah?
Yeah, you wish, buddy.
Are you?
Why do you want me to write this? I go, come on, it's funny.
I think I had her write on a picture, "Our love is against ape law," and she did.
I just had her. Oh
I
man!
had to write. Yeah, I had to write. Yeah, you wish, buddy. And Rob Cohen had to write "in your dreams," and she said, "You boys don't have very high self-esteem."
But when you get to that Paul Frees ending,
Yep.
Yeah.
The Earth is now dead.
and yeah, the
This
Earth is now-
mansion is haunted. Oh,
no, not that
My
one.
way.
What's the line, Sean?
I think it's
I-
the last few words.
Yes.
The Earth is now dead.
it's
small and
I only because
insignificant
for my own podcast, the Dana Gould Hour, I literally just excerpted that little piece in the episode. It was in one of the countless of billions of galaxies in the universe lies a medium-sized star, and one of its satellites, a green and insignificant planet, is now dead.
now find a way off
Thanks,
it.
No.
thanks for coming to the movie.
But it's like after that line, it's
Visit
dead-
Universal Studios.
Dead
music.
quiet,
Yeah.
no music, credits roll.
Well, all of the endings to the films were horribly depressing.
Yeah,
Escape from the Planet of the Apes
Oh.
was basically an episode of Love American Style.
Until the last
And
15 minutes. Yeah.
then they shoot a baby.
I was
They're like
They shoot a baby.
I was
they're
in
like the darlings of
tears.
society, and then it's like she's dressed like Rhoda. And they're
Yeah,
walking
she's dressed
around.
like Rhoda.
It's like it's all fun, and it's like, oh my gosh.
But I thought that was a great moment.
oh no, it was. I mean,
So now
again,
we're
ballsy.
okay. We
to
are
do
talking.
something like
We are
that.
talking now about Escape
Right.
from the Planet of the Apes.
Right.
Which is an totally ingenious movie. If only for we've blown up the Earth. Yeah, but we need to make another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have an idea. Who the hell has an idea?
But you know what? It makes total sense.
It was very
It
ingenious.
makes
Okay.
total
completely
sense.
impossible.
What we'll have happen is we'll have Zira and Cornelius study the paper airplane that Taylor made.
it, yeah.
Okay.
And then
no.
You can't get there from here, but if you can,
No, no.
They did the same. They traveled back in time the same way they got King Kong back to New York, and by jump cut, and then
but you see-
and then
but you see-
on with the story.
But you see, there's a big gap. There's something in that story that we don't know. We just don't know how they got from point A to point B.
Well,
and there's
I have
yeah.
a question though. The time travel that happens
knows
in the
they're
first
not
three
real.
movies
Mm-hmm.
is the time warp or the time anomaly supposed to be the same anomaly that happens with Taylor, that happens with Brent, and what happens with Cornelius and Zira and Milo? Is it like the same? You know
no,
what I mean?
it's just lazy.
yeah.
In this movie, it's a shockwave.
But you see-
the first one, hey, it's 1971. Nobody cares what
Sean,
the time thingy.
But that would
it comes back.
But Sean, that would actually make another great movie. There's a gap between
Right.
but when Beneath the Planet of the Apes is going on, what happens with Dr. Milo, Cornelius, and Zira?
Right.
How do they get to that point with that ship?
Right.
Well-
and they're able to blast off before the planet explodes and go through a time warp.
Right.
And this would be really, really cool. I think we mentioned it before. It's the lost story of Dr. Milo.
But apparently, we're going to get that answer with the new
It's possible that in the IDW Star Trek Planet of the Apes crossover that some of those items might be addressed.
oh my God! Okay, no. Tell me
Star
about this.
Trek Planet of the Apes.
You're kidding.
crossover.
This is
I'm coming.
Heard it here.
Are you
There's a-
serious?
IDW Comics is doing a Star Trek original series Star Trek Planet of the Apes crossover that takes place between Planet and Beneath.
No way. So this is with Captain Kirk and Mr.
Yeah,
Spock.
yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be so cool.
It's the same company that's doing it. I don't know if you have this. I have the first two issues. They're releasing Harlan Ellison's original teleplay for City on the Edge of Forever as a comic book series.
Cool. I did
It's
not know that.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
How does the crossover? Is there continuity with the star date? Like, isn't it supposed to be a certain year?
I don't know that much, but I'm
I'm assuming they
Somehow, yeah.
whenever they go to the Guardian of Forever or whatever,
start
and-
date future time.
But there's a lot of cool things that can go on.
It's so much good. They're so great. When it was announced last week, I got a bunch of emails from people like, "Oh my God, you're about! Oh my God, you're about this." And then I got one email was I didn't know with that Planet of the Apes Star Trek crossover. I was like, who's this? And I opened it, and it was the writer of the thing asking me if I would write an essay in the.
Nice.
And I was like, yes. I was like, how many issues is it? It's 5. Who else is doing the essays? We don't know yet. I'll do them all.
Nice.
If you say no, I'll kill you.
Well, this is
The
big,
last one should just be, this is so cool, this is so cool, this is so cool, this is so cool.
guys, this is big news. This is big news. This
It'll
is
be
big
entertaining.
scoop.
It'll be very
So
entertaining.
you are actually going to put in a little something.
I'm just going to write. Well, no, I'm just writing essays that could be, related to the stories or
Just commenting on
talking about when I met Charlton Heston or
About the
when
ape
I
phenomenon.
where I lived in Roddy McDowell's house. I mean, I have a lot of weird connections to them.
You lived in Roddy McDowell's
Oh, yeah.
house?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My wife and children still do.
Oh, well, I think. Oh, well, okay.
It
well.
got very depressing all of a sudden.
Okay. Well, on that,
I live in the Oakwoods.
But getting back to escape. So here you have
Escape from my marriage of the apes.
Escape from this conversation. Now,
No. Getting back to we're missing. There were a couple of people that were really instrumental in making these ape films come to life, and that is Roddy McDowell, who plays Cornelius, and Kim Hunter, who played Zira.
Right.
And Kim Hunter played Zira in Planet of the Apes Beneath and Escape, and
they offered her Lisa in Conquest, and she went, no.
really,
Really?
no, I didn't know that.
No.
Well, she
Well,
doesn't.
you have
she
no
doesn't have a line.
lines.
She didn't have a
No
line.
lines.
Really?
Yeah.
After playing such a strong, great
yeah,
character.
Yeah.
she blinks.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Blinks seductively.
Yeah.
And
she-
like
and
how
she has
Dana
one.
had mentioned how like when the first one was made, they didn't make sequels to these kind of movies.
No.
That's
Yeah.
one of the Apes is one of the first really.
It was the first
healthy, big
franchise.
franchise.
I mean,
sci-fi
you
genre.
could say Frankenstein was a franchise in the 30s, but
Yeah.
But not
it
like
was a
with
big
merchandising and all
It was the
that.
first big franchise. It was,
Right, totally.
and would not have been made without Charlton Heston.
No,
It was originally at Warner Brothers with Blake Edwards attached to direct.
Wow. Dear Lord.
Yeah, and then
So Peter Sellers then would have been.
Can you imagine what that
He would have
film
played all the Apes.
Richard Mulligan was going to.
Richard Mulligan might have made a good Ursus.
And then they got Heston, and then they got Edwards left, and Heston was very good friends with Franklin Schaffner. They made The Warlord together. But Franklin Schaffner was like a good director, but he directed a lot of television, but he'd never done anything great. And Richard Zanuck said in that one interview, was like he really just knocked our socks off. Like he basically said like we didn't know he had this in him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And,
There's so many
amazing.
iconic moments and beats, and just the way the sound
The
of the
build
picture.
up, yeah, everything, yeah.
I mean, everything about it is
And
just
so
spot on.
There was an interview in the Dick. I don't know what it was. I watched it on YouTube, and they're interviewing Franklin Schaffner from the early '80s, and he went on to direct like Patton and Papillon,
Yeah,
any
yeah.
movie with a P and an A in it. and they said, Mr. Schaffner, when you think of Planet of the Apes, how do you describe it? And he said the following: Swiftonian satire, not science fiction. Well,
Interesting.
to begin with, it is science fiction, and it's also Swiftian satire. You can't just make up words.
Planet of the Apes also started the collaboration between Schaffner and Jerry Goldsmith, who was, I think, on one of the studio contract composers with Fox.
Oh, I did
at
not
the
know
time.
that.
And
His
then
score is so amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah.
And then they went on to do the other Schaffner pictures together.
Oh, I didn't know they did it.
Yeah, he did
The
that.
score is such a huge part of that
I
movie.
mean, talk
the
about
music
nothing.
is so amazing.
Yeah, talk about like nothing you've heard before. I mean, there's no soundtrack
Yeah.
All that
like before, right?
experimentation with just sound effects and
Mixing bowls.
that sort of ape sound.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. It's so amazing.
Which they borrow a little bit for Dawn, which was
yes,
nice.
they do,
Yeah.
which is nice, which is great.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment.
will.
I wanna
We
kinda-
will.
I wanna kinda-
I'm gonna
And you can
ask
compare
about-
it to how terrible, in my opinion, the score to Beneath is by Leonard Rosenman. It's fitting to the movie, which is sort of dark and bleak and cacophonous, but there was just something beautifully organic to that first score and that first movie. It's so
Yes,
great.
yeah.
Totally.
Nobody drives around in their car listening to the Beneath soundtrack, but I do listen to the Apes
Well,
soundtrack.
yeah,
the
totally.
Beneath soundtrack is sort of like my
Escape too.
The Cure. When I'm feeling in that kind of
Bauhaus.
mopey way, yeah.
Well,
When
speaking
you're
of-
feeling
of
as
Escape,
exotic as Bob Smith, the lead singer of The Cure. Bob Smith.
going on to after Escape though.
Yeah.
Conquest.
I'm
of
in a
the
band and I sell
Conquest,
insurance.
Conquest of the Planet of the
But
Apes.
before we get into Conquest, I want
Okay.
to talk about the how you guys talk about the fast and loose mythology.
Yes.
Because Conquest introduced this whole other element, which is kind of confusing to some people, I think, as far as why the apes took over civilization. It was the cat and dog virus.
Yes.
What was that like?
That's a really.
But was that in addition to man
as you can
destroying
see-
himself with nuclear war? Like it was right. Like what were they doing?
You know the way you have your dogs and cats as household slaves? That was somebody. I mean, it was ingenious, but they're telling a story that takes 1,000 years to tell, and they tell it in 9. Actually, it takes place in 9 years or whatever. Like,
Right.
20 years, and then the whole thing happens in a year.
But there is a
It's
big-
implausible, but it's awesome.
I bought it, Sean. I bought it.
I love Conquest of the Planet of the
Conquest
Apes
is great. No,
so much.
Probably
Espe-
my second favorite.
Yeah, and when you see the director's cut or the
oh yes,
It's the only way to see that movie.
yeah,
now.
it's now you realize how schizophrenic and
terrible.
and topsy turvy the first. Kill everyone! Wait.
It's so funny. That is not the first. That's not the version that
He
we
becomes
saw.
an MSNBC.
No. The version that we
Commentator.
saw was not the director's cut. We all saw a different version in the movie theater.
It was watered down. The violence was watered down, and they got Roddy McDowell back. Right,
Yes.
as
Because
voice
they were
to
afraid
voice.
of riots.
Yes.
They didn't shoot anything else, so they had to take close-ups of his eyes.
Yes, that's
And-
right.
They
Remember, you
wouldn't
don't
even let them reshoot like cutaway. Like, get 2 people and him. It's so easy to
Yeah, and
no.
then like what's this? My favorite part is the playing the footage backwards to show the apes putting down their weapons.
It's I mean, it's quite ingenious, but it's just like when you look at it and you go like, you're just being dicks. I mean, it would not take much to send him across the street. It was shot literally across the street at Century City Mall, which in a building that is now gone that has been replaced by the CAA's new building.
I was so psyched when I moved here to LA.
Yeah,
I could
that
go to
you're near
Century
it.
City. It's like, this is where Conquest
Yeah.
was filmed. This is so
I just
cool.
bought socks at Ape Management.
And now it's gone.
The
Now
bridge
it's
is
all
still
been
there, though.
replaced.
The bridge is still there. The bridge
yeah.
is still there, but
But that is that whole ending.
That the building that he was in front of is now gone, and it's the CAA monstrosity.
Okay, but that ending, so in the director's cut,
new one.
it's
well, luckily we have
the
now
old
the director's
one.
cut, which
Yes.
is the initial version, which is fantastic,
Yeah, both
which
versions.
is truly apocalyptic.
Yes.
I mean,
It's
it's
and that's
super-
the way it would end.
right.
Yeah.
Well, can we go back a second? If maybe
Like
I don't
time
know.
travel?
Well,
fitting the depressing ending theory that they all have.
if maybe 20 years ago,
The name of that movie should be Furious George.
if 20 years in the past,
That's a T-shirt.
Dr. Hasline were convinced of a threat that the apes would take over, and then tries to commit this sort of genocide.
He was on Edge of Night by that time.
But how wise would it have been just a few years later, when Caesar is a teenage or a young adult, to dogs and cats are gone. Let's just bring up apes and make them prevalent.
Yeah.
It's like how
And
short-sighted was that?
And in the movie, and breed only the superior specimens.
Yeah, bright, smart.
Yeah.
Wait, you're saying that if he had the foresight to think that, or
Well, I'm saying that it wasn't that long before
Yeah.
Conquest
Yeah.
that in Escape, apes posed a threat to the future.
yes,
right.
In that time period in between, dogs and cats die. What are we going to do? Who are we going to get to replace the pets? Let's get apes.
Well, I think that Hasline was the
Iguanas.
Al Gore of his time, and it was just an inconvenient truth that people didn't want to deal with. I don't want to make my bed anymore. I'd much rather have a gorilla in my home.
Yeah. Where was the whole chewing off a person's face tactic?
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
Well, I used to think it was a gaffe in logic, but now actually it was pretty prescient, maybe.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah,
after
Conquest is great.
Conquest, so
Conquest
Conquest has
is
this
great.
great
Apparently, what
ending.
happens is, all the dogs and cats on Earth die, and they find a ton of jumpsuits. They find
They get them for a song because they're
Yeah.
irregulars.
Yeah, there's a hole in the earth. There's a tear in the membrane of our reality, and it is filled with overalls.
Which reminds me, there's so many. They use so many people for it to be in the gorilla outfits. I was thought to myself, it couldn't be that expensive to find one of those, right? To find one
You
of their
have one, don't
costumes.
you?
I have a chimpanzee one.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Why aren't you wearing it right now?
Who says I'm not? I have a chimpanzee
Yeah.
one, but the coolest story I have is I have an over the head chimp extras mask.
like one of those cheap
You
ones.
have to tell this
But the story of how I got it
You have to hear the
is
story.
from Planet, and the
wow.
way I got it was great. I used to live before I moved into Roddy's house. I sound really disturbed. But,
You're like Bad Ronald.
I know, I really am.
The night is young.
I should tell how I ended up in Roddy's house, and I'll tell her. So we used to live right behind the Chateau Marmont, my wife and I, on Marmont Lane, and we had a lot of a lot of parking problems on the street because of idiots going to Dublin's, which is now gone, and it was across the street from the Roxbury, which is now also gone. But it was just horrible idiots parking, and then 2 a.m, the clubs let out. They come up our street, leaving beer bottles everywhere, throwing up in the street. It was really a nightmare. So we have a neighborhood meeting to talk about the parking problem. And there's this older gentleman there, and there's people going, Dan, hey, Dan, you have something? What do you think, Dan? And I have been reading Famous Monsters since I was a kid, and I've seen all the DVD extra. Well, not DVD at that point, laser discs.
Yeah.
And at one point, I just turned to him and I go, I don't mean to be rude, but are you Dan Strepak? And he goes, yeah, I am. And I went, I know exactly who you are. And I just ticked off his resume and couldn't have been, was delighted and could not have been a nicer guy. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's great. I knew, I knew everything that he had done.
Right. 2001 too.
Yeah, and he was just the best. And 2-3 days later, the doorbell rings open, and there's Dan. Well, he goes, you like the movie so much? Yeah, I had a couple of these lying around. You should have one. Wow. And he gave me a Gorilla appliance on a vacuum and a over-the-head 8 mask. The Gorilla appliance is now at Brian Peck's house in Brian's display. And the over-the-head mask I have.
That's awesome.
And it was
my
God. Yeah. Wow. And then I bought the Conquest jumpsuit from Brian Pennicus when he sold off a lot of the Ape Mania stock.
Okay.
And I also bought one of Mort
Abrams?
Morton Hack's original Gorilla concept art costumes.
Oh, yes, that's right. I've
For
seen that.
the not final concept for the Gorillas.
Wow. And you
Cool.
And that's why my life is an avalanche of pussy.
You are
done all right.
You are a big Ape fan.
So when we moved, my wife and I knew we were going to have children, and our house on Marmont Lane was not good for kids, so we should move now. So we were looking at houses, and we found a house right on the other side of the hill in Fryman Canyon, and we're looking at it, and we're in there. It's a little big for us, but we could swing it. And then the guy goes, well, an actor used to live here, Roddy McDowell. And my wife just looked at me, and I just kind of looked at my shoes. But it's also her dad, my ex-father-in-law's favorite movie, too. So it was
cool.
It was sort of like...
How strange is that, though? That talk about...
It's sweet. I will say that there's no ghosts. He's wherever he is, he's very happy.
Yeah.
Sure.
The coolest thing that we did was Roddy was a big supporter of the motion picture fund that helps actors when they're older, and they have a retirement home and health fund and all that stuff. And he used to have dinners at his house to raise money for him because he was a big part of the fund. The Caesar statue is in the Rose Garden at the Screen Actors at the Motion Picture Fund home.
Oh, wow.
That used to be in my backyard. And now, so we were able to continue that tradition. They have their annual fundraisers at the house. So that's a great thing that we get to continue.
Great. Yeah.
That is great.
People have given me like Roddy's friend from New York came back. Came to the event. I'd never met him before. He was a nice guy. He had Roddy's Adar Cornelius kit that Roddy gave away all of his stuff. He knew he was dying, and people would come and he'd give him away. So he gave that. He goes, "This should be in the house." So that's back in the house. Wow. Roddy's Planet of the Apes trash can is back in the house.
Wow.
And I don't sleep there, but it's still my house. I'm there every day.
And you ended up taking over all his My Friend Flicka stuff, right?
I took all the stuff from the cool ones.
Roddy McDowell he's an icon, and Apes could not have been done without him. And he did such an amazing job with Conquest, but then from there you go on to one of my favorites, which is Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Really? That's one of your favorites?
Back up a little bit here.
By favorite, you mean worst?
No,
actually like
One of
metal,
your
though.
favorites?
Yeah, one of the reasons why I like it so much is because it's kind of when the apes and humans kind of work together a little bit. You
And then they have a giant battle.
Yeah, well, the bad humans.
Well, I wouldn't
you know?
say giant.
No, but they have.
As
They
a kid,
take
though,
down a bus.
a couple tree
That's the
houses.
kind of battle they had at the end of 48 hours.
It was more of a block riot.
In the movie, it's not humans
It should have
are
been
hunted.
called Tantrum on the
Hey, humans are not hunted. They're living together, and of course, humans don't really have all the rights just yet.
Yeah, it's still
There's still some issues.
Right.
Still some issues, but they ultimately.
Well, it's the turmoil from within. That's where Aldo. I mean,
Right.
the
What-
apes
what's
start
the-
to become like humans.
What's
Yeah.
amazing, and we'll get to this, is that it is, and I said this recently, it's 2014, and the best movie of the summer is a remake of Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
yes.
It's just like,
yes.
anything is possible.
Yeah,
It's a
that
golden
would
Although
have
I'd
been
say,
done right.
I really enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy as well.
Oh, I have to see it still.
Oh boy,
That's another show.
I could almost do an entire podcast on that.
That's
movie.
another
It's
show.
so good. But
Save
we'll,
that.
Yeah,
we'll-
you liked it. You liked it.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
But
Yeah.
getting back to Battle
too.
for the Planet of the Apes, it's
'Cause of
still
Chris.
really cool. And also, Paul Williams gives a great little,
He
does.
great little
Yeah.
performance.
Virgil.
Because that guy, he was in a whole bunch of things back then.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about that
But
movie,
I
did.
loved his song.
Mostly Match Game.
I don't remember. Wait, he did do a. No, you're right. He not in the movie
On the Tonight Show.
That's right. He did
right.
a song in his.
While
ape-
dressed as Virgil, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
I actually,
Oh my God, I forgot
I have
about
sung
that.
with Paul Williams in ape makeup.
Yeah,
Are you
what exactly were you
serious?
I
doing?
was in makeup.
What
and
were you
Wait,
doing,
whoa!
Dana?
Wait a minute. Wait.
Wayne Fetterman's Christmas pageant at Largo 2 years ago with Paul Williams. I did a thing when I was on the writer on the Ben Stiller show. I pitched for an episode. When Rent will come to the Amundsen Theater, they'll do a commercial.
yeah.
I said, let's do a commercial for Planet of the Apes the musical, and Ben is Taylor running around,
Right.
and then in the second act of the show, we'll do from the producers of Planet of the Apes the musical. Hal Holbrook is Dr. Zaius as Mark Twain, and I only did it because I wanted to get in the makeup and
course,
do it.
yeah, of
That's
course.
genius.
So we got canceled before we got a chance to do it. And Planet of the Apes musical ended up at the Simpsons.
yeah.
And
Dr. Zaius
2
did.
years ago, right, brilliantly from chimpanzee to chimpanzee.
Yeah.
And then a couple years ago, I was talking to John Hodgman, if you know John Hodgman, and there was some picture of James Whitmore on the set of Planet of the Apes reading Mark Twain's book, and he
On
was
the
like,
set?
and he said, I'm trying to get somebody to do Dr. Zaius Mark Twain, do a Mark Twain thing, and I went, that's so funny that you say that. I wrote that as a sketch 13 years ago. And he said, what are you talking about? And I told him, and he goes, could you do that at my show at Sketchfest? And I was about to just go, no. But then I thought, wait, actually I can. Because I'm Greg Nicotero of The Walking Dead is one of my best friends, and I know they have a Zaius mold, and
Yeah.
the guy, Andy, one of Greg's guys, has the costume. I said, let me make a phone call, but I think I can do this. And it's what I love about show
And it's
business.
online, right?
Is it?
It is
really?
online.
Is
Yeah,
it on
but
YouTube?
what I love about
Wait,
this,
wait a
like,
minute. There's a follow-up.
I
Go ahead.
called it. What's great is like, so I call up Greg and I go, "Hey, Greg, I've been invited to go to Sketchfest and do this thing that I wrote a long time ago, Dr. Zaius doing Mark Twain, but I need to get a guy with the kit up to San Francisco to do it." And I just say, "Hey, Andy, you want to go to San Francisco and do the ape thing on Dana?" "Sure." Okay.
He sent a makeup guy?
Yeah, Andy. Well, I paid everybody, but yeah, Andy drove up, and Andy Schoenberg, and he's awesome, and he did a brilliant job.
That's awesome.
And,
My ape requests are not answered so quickly.
No.
no, it was astounding. And then I had this idea when so that was out there, and then Wayne Fetterman saw it and said, "Paul Williams is doing my Christmas show. Could you do the ape thing again?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yeah." And then I had this idea that I wanted to do as well. I said, "Can I do this too?" And it was Dr. Zaius as William Shatner reciting "Santa Claus is Coming to Town." And then, so it's Zaius, but in the Shatner tux, and he comes out as Zaius. It's the Shatner tux, but the Zaius pants and feet. And he goes like, and it's like a, "Dude, better not pout." You'd better not cry. And then his son goes, could I break character just for 1 second, please?
I've
This
got
is
to check that out.
terrifying to a child. Children cry. It's the only way they express emotions. They're primitive brains at this point. A 2-year-old doesn't go, I'm frightened. Let me analyze why. They cry, and yet you tell him not to cry because man must be governed by an evil giant in the sky. It goes on and on.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
it's really, and then Zayas
Right.
breaks
It's
character
so
is
good.
me, and then I do stand up in the Zayas makeup, then he goes back to Zayas and back to Shatner. It's like a Russian egg doll.
So for the
And
listeners
this
out
is
there,
still
you've
online,
got to
right?
you
you've
can
got
get
to
this online. If you
check
go to my
this
just
out.
go to danagould.tumblr.com.
There you
find
go.
all of
There
it.
you go.
They're worth
Not to be
watching.
missed.
So look,
really funny.
so look, Planet.
But even in Battle for the Planet,
Battle for
which
the
I
Planet of the
saw at
Apes.
the drive-in when it came out.
Yep.
I saw Escape and Battle on the original runs. My parents hid Conquest from me. I was too young for everything else. But Battle was a double. I can't remember what Battle was.
well, see-
Escape was a double feature with Bobby Deerfield.
But see, what I remember, Dana, what I
Probably the
remember.
worst Planet of the Apes movie.
No. What I remember is my parents dropped me and my brother off to when they were doing the Go Ape thing, where you saw all 5
five,
movies.
yeah,
That's where I
so
saw it.
I got
That's
to
where
see.
saw it.
I got to see all of those at once. And at the end of Battle, I was actually very hopeful. I was actually very happy because Escape was really. I mean,
Right, yeah. They
Beneath
went a
was
different way,
tough.
definitely.
Escape was
Here's-
really
here's
hard
the
for
thing.
me.
Battle as a kid, though, I
Yeah.
love Battle because it was more of a kid-oriented movie.
Yes.
It was a much lower budget. It reminds
agree with
me
that.
a lot more of the
TV
Planet of the Apes
series.
TV series,
Yeah.
which as a kid I loved. It was
Well,
Planet of the Apes every week.
It opens with John Huston reading to kids.
Right. It
Yeah.
was much more a kid-friendly movie in a lot of ways.
But even as a kid, like I said, I saw that for the first time as part of the whole Go Ape
Right.
marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom took me and brought like a thermos of coffee.
Yeah.
And we sat through all of them. And
God
I remember-
love her.
She's the greatest mom ever.
Yeah,
And
that's a really amazing.
she was really cool. And then, but by the 4th one after Conquest, she was like, "So, you're probably done now,
Yeah.
right?
I'm having a miscarriage. One more.
We've been here for 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot of
That's a lot of Ape
work.
movies.
But
yeah.
see, the funny
But,
thing is
but,
that
but,
that's-
wait a minute.
Go ahead.
But of course, that was the one I hadn't seen, and
Right,
so
right.
she's like, "All right, well, it's another." But like when I saw that film, after seeing them all in a row, you kind of go, "This is a little weak." It's
Yeah.
just it doesn't have the iconic moments. It doesn't have
it's like an-
emotional
yeah.
thrust. It's just
It's not epic.
No, actually
right.
I agree with you guys about it. But as a kid, when I saw it, for me, it was like a little bit more. It was a relief. It was a
anything
relief.
Apes at the time as a kid, I wanted.
Well,
Yeah.
and Matt, haven't you gone on record as saying that Battle for what it is still has more integrity than like Return of the Jedi? Haven't you? I can quote you
agree
as
with
saying that.
I
Yeah,
agree with
remember
that.
you
No,
saying
no,
that.
absolutely. Probably one of the big problems with Battle was obviously budget.
Right.
That's why it looks so
Those movies
small.
are so they
But with-
like every movie was.
Yeah.
What's amazing is that Escape cost more than Conquest, and I don't know that.
Yeah, that's
or,
crazy.
Or Conquest might have been infinitesimally more. I believe it was like $1.8
Probably-
million, $1972.
Probably the fact that they were shooting it all in this one area and they didn't have to get permits all over the city. and
Yeah, that
everything
was
else.
true.
That had something to do with
Well, two areas-
But
two
you said
areas.
comparing it to Jedi.
Yeah.
What's so horrible about Jedi is the fact that they had all this money. They had just done
they could
two
do whatever they want,
blockbuster movies, and it was just a giant fuck you to all the Star Wars fans. Like, we'll just make some cute little Ewoks, and I don't even really.
But Battle doesn't have this line. Concentrate your firepower on the
That's true.
Well, okay,
no,
so
but he does have.
It doesn't have
No.
Salacious Crumb.
That's true.
But we'll
Or
save
Snide
we'll
Snoodles.
save the Star Wars stuff for another. We'll save it for another episode. Seriously, because we only have so much time, and I want to get to. There are a couple
Wait,
things
We
I
have
want to get to.
all the
Isn't-
time in the world.
No, not-
Isn't there another cut of Battle though, which is in the Blu-rays, which does connect it to Beneath? Right?
Yeah,
which
there's
is
a,
not in the
the
theatrical.
Francie Nguyen scenes.
Right, with that other guy, where they
The other
it's
Mendez
it's
and-
the bomb that you're going to see.
Yeah.
It's because they're mutants. They're starting to look like mutants.
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah,
the
it's
bomb.
actually
It's
quite
the alpha,
ingenious.
That's the
Yeah.
alpha omega bomb.
That's
and that
right.
actually makes it a little better.
But I thought
Yeah.
I remember that in the original. No.
Not in the theatrical.
I think they showed it on. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's on the
So
Blu-ray.
I don't know
think I
where
saw it
it's.
I'm
or
pretty sure I
CBS
saw it.
showed that version of it
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, possibly.
But it
That's
wasn't
a nice
out in
connection.
theatrical. That is true.
Really?
That's an interesting.
I did not know that.
So they give us these 5 movies. We do have the TV series for a season,
And the cartoon
and
show.
we do have the cartoon season. So
Return
and then
to the Planet of the
so I
Apes.
think the feeling is there's a lot of ape stuff out there, and we all grew up and we're all big Apes fans. And then somebody out there decided, I want to do a reimagined version of
Who
Planet
shall
of the
remain
Apes.
nameless.
No, I'm going to say his name, Tim Burton, and a guy who I think some of his stuff is pretty cool and pretty neat. But that Planet of the Apes, his version, I just absolutely hated. And I went in
Did you
there.
have the anticipation? I was so
Sean,
jazzed.
I was so excited.
Yeah, me too.
In
I
the
was.
hands of Tim Burton, oh my god, it's going to be so cool. And I didn't really know. Reimagined, okay, I'm not really sure, but from the moment
could
it
it go
started, it just
It was the same-
I gotta say, I should. It was every time you'd see something from it, you'd think, well, it's not the finished product. And I went to the set,
yeah.
and because my friend's dad did the polish on the script, and
And that's the problem. It looked like a set.
it,
You know what I mean?
and I looked at the set like, how are they going to make the? Well, maybe they're going to matte painting,
Yeah.
and like, no, there was just. I'll say this: I love the original Apes.
Yeah.
It's my favorite movie. Right behind it, Ed Wood.
Yeah.
So
I love that movie too.
I
agree.
How can you
Fantastic.
make something so
Right.
flawless? But it takes it. I think it takes a genius to miss that thoroughly.
Right.
Because I'm not a genius, and I would make some stuff interesting by mistake.
Right. Well, Tim Burton. I think the thing with him is that he has this thing that he does very well, and when he veers off that, that's when it all goes to shit. When it's something that's very close in his little Vincent.
He's very good.
Edward,
He's very good.
Wheelhouse.
Edward
He's
Scissorhands.
very good at
Yeah.
telling the Tim Burton story.
Right.
Yeah.
Quirky.
And he gets an idea. I know people that know him very well, and they say that he gets a vision of what the movie is, and he doesn't deviate from it. And if his vision is correct, what's great is because he'll block out all of the bullshit because he's just going to do what he sees.
Right.
And if he's wrong, he's going to go all the way with it.
Yeah.
And
But also
with
that's-
apes,
Well,
it
he
was
was-
the idea
he-
of people playing apes in masks. That was it. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, that's how you end up with a movie about nothing.
No, and what bugs me is I think it's not fair to Rick Baker, who I think does an amazing job with a lot of the
I did
makeups
like
in
the
there.
apes.
Except there is the Helena Bonham-Carter character really bugged me, and I heard this.
But the Lisa Marie one is worse. They look like burn victims.
Well, the thing that bugged me was I heard the story. Well, he wanted her, that particular character, to look maybe a little bit more human than ape. And if you look at her, she doesn't fit with the other apes. The other
That's
girls
true.
really
That's
look
true.
like gorillas.
I can't look at the movie that long.
No, well, and see, that's just, I try to block that one out of my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
I'm
I
a
thought,
big supporter of Rick Baker. And
Oh, me too.
absolutely, But
Me too.
I have to admit that actually I think the design of the apes are not that memorable to me. Like, I still think the original franchise, for the limited makeup compared to today that there was, they're so aesthetically pleasing. They're so cool
I agree.
looking.
Yeah.
I will say that the film makes an excellent coaster. If you have it on
Well,
DVD.
I respected the way that the actors walked around like
Sure.
apes, and I respected the makeup. I thought that was cool, and I think that you'd have a different view of even that makeup if this were a kick-ass great movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's true. That's true.
then we jump ahead to.
I mean,
Well, but-
Burton was only partially involved in the script, right? I don't know the screenwriters, but I mean,
There's
the script was
giant-
just
I don't know, but what I can tell you though is after that film, I was so upset, I was so pissed off. I said, "Don't make any more Apes film." And I heard years later they're going to be doing this film called Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So I was nervous, Sean.
I was very
I
skeptical.
was so freaking
And
nervous.
when I heard they were going to be all CGI, like, oh, come
oh
on,
yeah,
no, it's not going to work.
No,
right?
no.
I
And
agree.
then I saw it and was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh yeah,
That was amazing. That was like opening a gift on Christmas that you didn't know you were getting. That
Yes,
was awesome.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
not expect.
Holy shit!
I did not
and it
expect.
made me.
Yeah,
it
who
was
would
so
expect?
good, and it hit on so many points.
It would be like if a director remade Dark Shadows in 5 years, and it wasn't risible, and it wasn't largely about canning.
You know what? It is one of the best horror canning movies.
I'm glad
Johnny
somebody finally tackled the concept that the 70s were goofy.
So with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, you feel that I'm watching this and I think, oh my God, this is actually so great, and then it has this great ending.
It reinvented the franchise.
It did, Sean.
It renewed the franchise.
So then
It's about a bunch of apes trying to get to Marin.
Yeah. And then you wonder. So where's it going to go? And I didn't know that they were going to continue it. And then we're given
it was a surprise hit.
Then we're getting this gift. Dawn.
But wait a minute. Let me go back to Rise a little bit.
I'm sorry. Go back to Rise.
Because one of the things that show...
Let's talk about how much it could have sucked and didn't.
Absolutely.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah. And
who was apparently only cast a short period of time before they started filming.
Well, he had done King Kong. He was King Kong.
Right, but what I mean is he wasn't the first phone call. He was one of the last phone calls.
That's
Who was
interesting.
the
Now, I
first
didn't
phone
know
call?
that.
You know?
Who was the first?
You know?
Some guy who made a lot of money. No, I mean, like, all I know is, and I just read this recently, that he was cast a very short amount of time.
Like almost
before
an
the movie.
afterthought.
But
Like, we haven't got anybody good. Let's ask if the guy that does this could do it.
But that's what's so great about that movie is that, and about his performance is that, like, you see a movie where it's like, if it weren't for that, this guy's performance brings up everybody else's performances. And that's what he did with James Franco, who is not exactly the most riveting actor.
No, he's our Lyle Wagner.
But he was good. But he was good in the
And
film.
then whatever the girl who was completely worthless. But
Also, Frida Pinto.
yeah.
Also, our Lyle Wagner.
But that's what really stuck out to me is how like even where it was sort of weak, there was something else in the movie that would bring
You could always
pull
look
up
at
that
him.
end.
You could always look at him.
Yeah.
It's basically a remake of Conquest of the Planet of the
Right,
Apes.
right.
like a
It's
smaller
amazing.
scale version.
It's so funny. If you know Peyton Reed, the director who's right now directing Ant-Man. And we went to see Burton's together. And literally like 6 seconds into it, Peyton leans over and he goes, "It's horrible." And that was all we said. And then we saw the movie and we left. And it was me, Peyton, and Ken Daly. And we're sitting in front of the Vista Theater in Los Feliz. And Peyton just goes, I'll never forget it. He goes, "I will never see that movie again. I will never buy the soundtrack. I won't buy a magazine. I won't buy an action figure. I won't watch it on television." And I've cruised past it a couple times on television, watched about like 7 seconds. I can't bear it.
No, it's
Yeah.
horrible.
It is that bad.
It is one of those.
It is
that
that
obnoxious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And then after Rise, we all walked out and it was like, "It's not me, right? That was pretty good." Yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah, I did too. I thought it was really good. And then I went back to wait a minute. And I went back. No, it's good. It's really good.
But now I would now say that after seeing Dawn, 15 minutes into Dawn, I was like, oh my God, what they were able to do in Rise, they have upped that like 10
Dawn,
times.
Taylor, our friend Taylor White, saw Dawn and said the
owner and operator of
analogy-
Creature Features.
Yes, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's a store that sells monster stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's where I get my haircut.
He says, he said the analogy I would say is Star Wars and Empire. It's like it just
Okay,
takes
now
it,
here's where I have to disagree with you.
or Batman Begins and Dark Knight.
I would also disagree with you.
Oh.
But the
This
problem,
podcast is over.
what's great about Dawn that Empire doesn't have as much as I love Empire is that it has an ending. You know, it's
Yeah.
great to. It's
Yeah.
really easy
No,
to make a movie
good
that
point.
has no ending. What is the ending of Empire? Jedi.
Let's look out this window.
Where's my hand?
Is that Act 3 out there?
Well, that's for another show. I didn't mind that so much,
We
but
can you know what? We can go off the script. Larry,
I remember
let's
when
talk about free enterprise.
I remember when I saw Empire. I was 15 years old, and I remember walking out of the movie theater going, "What the fuck?"
Right.
It was like the ending of The Sopranos. It's like, wait, no, that can't be the end of it.
well, getting back to Dawn. Dawn
was-
is. I mean that
It's
ending was
so
great.
beautiful. And I remember watching Dawn. Like, the thing about the Burton movie, I compared to the Dawn. Like Burton's movie, he couldn't commit to the movie. Like he kept making fun of his own movie.
Yeah,
So
I'd
you
agree
didn't
with
have
that.
the-
Yeah.
Didn't have the balls to put his balls on the cutting board and go,
And
"Ah,
that's what he
Yeah.
does. That's what he always
Yeah.
does. At his worst.
At his worst. And when
Yeah.
when he is involved, he gets he's.
What's funny is that I really
love him. I'm glad he's around. I'm sure he's a great guy.
I love Sweeney Todd, and that is
Yeah.
actually
that's a good movie.
takes itself. That
Yeah.
is played
That-
straight.
he
I think
commits.
when he-
He
with the
commits to that
8C
one.
cash to check. That's
I
it.
think when he
Yeah,
I think when he
yeah.
commits, he commits. Frankenweenie, I think, is just
I like
fucking
Frankenweenie,
beautiful.
too.
When he's
Love
on-
it.
yeah.
Yeah. But
We're going to do a Tim Burton show.
I want him
later.
to be great.
yeah, I do too. I want him to be
We
great.
do,
I want him to be
yes.
great.
I do root
But I
for
remember
him.
walked out of Dunn I remember walking out of Dunn the first time I saw it on opening night, and I was like, they cared about that.
Yeah,
They cared about that as much as I do. It was like they made a better movie than they had any right to make.
Yeah.
Right. And it
Yeah.
was like, and it's a remake of Battle for the Planet of the Apes. All the key plot elements.
Yes.
There's a little bit of Lion.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of the Lion King in there. but all of the key there is.
Oh,
There is.
that's it.
But
Ape shall never kill ape.
well,
they
That
got
was
that. That's
fantastic.
great.
Mike
That was
Lewis said,
great.
Mike, a comedian, said, goes, the real villain in The Lion King are Scar's parents who named their child Scar. But it was so much better than it had any right to be.
Yes.
It was like the people who made this movie took it more serious than I do. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
My only thing now, if they're gonna make a third one,
Oh, I'm sure.
and I need somebody to like talk to a woman. And so there's an actual female character in one of these movies that's not just like, oh, I'm going to dress your wound.
Wait, you didn't think that she
Well,
was a strong...
anyway.
You didn't think she was a strong... No, you didn't
Back
think
to the conversation.
No, you didn't think that woman was...
No,
like-
she gets her tits out, but
No. You didn't think she was a strong enough character?
not enough.
Well, she didn't really have much to do, that's
She didn't
true.
have that much to do, but also
She didn't.
I think she still fine.
Yeah.
But how about some other women? What if there were, God forbid, 2 or even 3 women?
What?
Maybe in a position of power of some sort.
See, I don't know. I think in the world of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, she walked around a little too freely. I think women in that world will have hands made of bayonets.
That's the woman I want to see.
They're going to walk around with their hand on the pin of a grenade. Come
Yeah.
at me. Anybody
Yeah.
come at me.
I want to see like 3 Vasquez's from Aliens.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can
now-
I say real quick though? It's like
Okay, so aliens.
We're all
No, go ahead.
We're
Jim.
all very savvy today with technology and films, and nothing really blows me away much as far as effects these days because they can do everything and you kind of know.
Yeah.
But like, I still kind of don't understand how they did the apes. I mean,
idea. I have no idea.
Were they?
I don't know how they make
or were
records and they don't even make them anymore.
I mean, the apes.
How do they make a single? I don't know.
I mean, like when Golem came
Yeah.
out, Golem was
I
amazing.
want to know
but-
what happens when doves cry.
Yeah.
But, like,
How come
the apes-
doors fit door frames?
No, but the
apes-
hands,
no, but-
the fur...
But everything,
yeah.
the apes in these movies
Yeah.
are so fully realized.
Yeah.
I mean, was it? I know it was physical actors, and
Yeah.
then they put them over with the CGI, right?
Yeah.
And but it's just, I don't know. It's spooky to me. Like it was so.
But you see, you know what they did?
Were
They did-
brought to life.
My
They did
favorite-
more. They did more than just, make these
Well,
characters come
the
to
fact
life.
that you forget about it after 10
Yes.
seconds.
My favorite 3 scenes in the movie are when Caesar talks to Maurice at the beginning about what happened to humans.
Right,
Yes.
right.
When Caesar talks to his son
Yeah.
in the abandoned house.
Yeah.
Great.
And it was just a moment, but it was so fucking chilling. And that was really the moment where I went, fucking hell. After he beats the shit out of Koba,
Yeah.
and Koba just goes, look at me.
Yeah.
What a moment as
Yeah.
an actor.
Sure.
It's such
Yeah.
that
Yeah, yeah.
line. It's such a naked. It's amazing. It's amazing that
And-
line.
and
also,
even-
getting
and
back
you-
to... Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like even sweet moments, like with Maurice and the comic book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
totally.
such a nice,
And-
wonderful,
and great like
tiny
little
moment.
little kid action moments. One of my favorite images is the image of Koba in slow motion riding a horse through fire, shooting 2 machine guns, and
That
screaming.
it was unbelievable,
awesome.
Sean. That shot gave me chills.
gosh,
I got
fantastic.
goosebumps all over my arm.
If
That
I
was-
could die as an old man, Soylent Green style,
Yeah. Just watch that on a
that's
loop.
what I want on the screen.
Yeah, totally.
I just want that on my tombstone. Just playing on a constant loop on an LED screen.
Danny brings up a really good point. I mean, these were actually great performances too by these actors who were
Amazing.
playing the apes. When Koba is actually saying, when he points to his neck, his arm says "human work."
That was the scene.
Yeah, yeah,
Human
yeah.
work.
And,
That
and
scene was
that scene,
Human work is
that
amazing.
scene gave me
Great.
chills, and it made me just feel so guilty.
Yeah.
As
I'm
a
just
human.
glad that technology which to me is now so far
Yes.
the epitome. I'm so glad that it's being used for a Planet of the Apes movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like fantastic, not Transformers.
Now
They
this-
finally got fur down. Too,
Yeah, they got
you know?
fur.
Yeah, I mean, not
And wet
anything.
fur.
Maybe you can
Yeah.
explain some logic problems that I had with
Oh,
it. I don't
here
want
we
you guys to
go.
like start hating me now, but I had some major problems.
Did
with
you
it.
Okay,
really?
like what? James?
Look, you know, a bit of a MacGuffin plot device. Hey, we have to go up into the Muir Woods to fix the dam, and this idiot is the only person who can fix them. So it's telegraphed that he's going to start shit with the apes. Look, you're in a survival colony in San Francisco. You need power? Go to fucking San Jose. Go to Oakland. Why do you have to go into the Muir Woods where apes are
Well,
talking?
maybe it was bombed out. I mean,
Well, they didn't know.
was
They
like-
didn't know they were there.
Yeah.
They
Well,
said
they
that
knew
in-
after
That's
the
true.
first excursion they
Yes.
knew. And then it's like, okay, let's just go south instead. We're going to start major shit if we go up there again.
I
And
just
yet-
can't see how that movie is exciting.
well, okay, it was
Thank God we did. Thank God we avoided those apes.
okay. It was okay. So it was
Hey, the lights are on. Let's play the band.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Do you know the way to San Jose?
look. It didn't bother you. It bothered me. Another
Cut to Caesar. Hey, their lights are on. Shrug.
And look, my favorite part of the whole movie was the first couple of minutes where you see this time lapse in the media on how the simian flu destroyed civilization. You see it go to static. I love that because it was logical to me. It made sense.
You're tough.
Then you left.
Well, then
You're harsh.
you've got this standoff in San Francisco, in metropolitan San Francisco, where Gary Oldman makes a reference, toward the end. I'm trying to save mankind or trying to save civilization. Well, it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of apes up there, but is it all mankind? I don't know. I mean, there's probably a lot more outposts, a lot more
Well, it's
human
always
survivors.
spoken in microcosm. Of,
Yeah,
It is.
I mean, basically, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes is about the apes taking over 2 blocks.
Yeah, of Century City, of the mall, right?
He won.
But that
Literally,
was,
they didn't even secure the parking garage.
Ape City is the size of Yuba City.
Yeah.
and I love that. But
Over
if,
downtown.
if they could only have put the thought they had in that little sequence in the beginning into the whole thing, as far as building it into more than a microcosm, make it a little bit more plausible. for
I
me.
would argue that when it comes to like, that this idiot is going to be the problem that comes later, that as you were saying, in that society, that there's going to be a lot of those idiots, and those idiots see the ape-filled hills and go, let's kill us some fucking apes. They're responsible for this. And so the idea that they're going to go, oh, no, we'll go to another town.
Well, actually,
They did describe it as like, he's the only one that knows how the thing works. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
You could tell it's sort of like in Terminator Judgment Day or whatever that Terminator was. They're running towards an airplane, and there's a clearly looped line where he goes, that's my dad's plane. I trained on it. It's like, okay.
But I mean, like,
whenever somebody turns away from the camera, well, the mafia hid the drugs in the trunk of the car. What?
well, I would have been a lot more satisfied if there were some more of those kind of right-wing gun nuts who were like, yeah, let's go up and get them because they are responsible for this. That would have worked better for me.
okay, I'll buy that.
You know,
I'll buy that.
but I will say this: that it really has set the tone, and there's going to be another one.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
For all
and-
its flaws,
they're writing
for
it
all its
now.
flaws,
Pure
and,
fun.
and I am like, my expectations are very high. I'm
I
really
think the
excited
next
about.
one is going to be a reimagining of Tim Burton's.
Well, here's the interesting thing, though. This one was basically a remake of Battle. Rise was basically a remake of Conquest. This is the first time they're like, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is that in the new franchise, they haven't introduced the time travel concept at all,
No.
which was what made the franchise in the
Right.
But
original.
in
So are they
Rise-
going to do that?
I think they are going to continue telling Caesar's story because he's the star of
Well,
it.
another thing, Sean, what
And
we don't know,
it should go forward,
what
not
we don't know.
backwards,
So
please.
these
go for
people are immune to this disease. Okay, well, what's going to happen over a period of time? Is it going to decay? Are they going to get
Are they
decayed?
gonna introduce a mutant
You know what I'm
element?
getting at.
That could be cool.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
wondering. And it's like, oh my god, I got to get out of the sun.
Should
I
bring
gotta-
back Galen from the TV series.
One of the things that I would introduce, were I writing it, which I'm not, there's the concept of setting up Maurice as the lawgiver, possibly somehow Caesar having to do something that takes himself out of the ape history books, because he's not really in the ape history books. And the idea that if all of the humans that survived this disease are genetically immune to the disease, it could possibly be that the interbreeding of this genetic mutation gives them a generation of mute children. And so you see that kick in, and it's the panic that the human beings experience, seeing that we are falling, we are starting to slide down the evolutionary ladder, cause them to do something drastic. I don't know what it is. If possible, like the apes have to leave California. All I know is, like, I love the idea of the none of the babies are talking. And the last scene is you just see sand blowing up against concrete. And you pull back and you just see it's the Statue of Liberty, and it's just starting to gather sand at its base. It's still full size.
Well, who knows?
So
what
it's the reverse
film
of Look Who's Talking.
Yes, it's children of men with apes.
Okay, I like it.
Children of
Interesting,
Apes.
where
Well,
they definitely
now-
could
but now-
explore a lot of different
I don't know
things.
where they're going. I hope it's good.
Hopefully, what I would like to see, I would like to see them go in the direction of the Power Records, Planet of the Apes comic book and record stories that I grew up with. We all kind of grew up with these things, didn't we? Did you
Oh,
ever
yeah.
have the
No.
Power Records?
No.
I did not.
It was a comic book. It was like,
But it was
back
a
in the
it was
day,
a record,
It was
though.
a record that
They
would
can't
come in the
even-
sleeve of a comic book.
They
and you-
can't even get the order of the movies right on the cover of the record.
No.
But I got to say, Nova has Taylor and Nova look amazing.
Yes, yeah, they got rid of Heston's gut, but there's
He didn't have a
there's a
gut.
favorite line
Not
of
in the
mine
first
in
one.
the
He did in the
first
second one.
and the original.
In the second one, he had the James Bond "Diamonds Are Forever" punch. Oh, James! Why he looks like my dad out of the shower? Why are you cooing over my dad? Yes, darling. Are those devil dogs?
But there's a great line in the they did the first movie as this comic book with narration. Horrible actors. The guy who's Taylor kind of talks like this.
Fantastic.
And now, if you
Come
remember,
by, Dern.
yeah, in the original movie, when Taylor finds Landon, he goes, "You cut up his brain, you bloody baboon."
Yeah.
Now, that's kind of a pretty sort of slang kind of line. Now, in the record that was made for children, he says, "You've removed his frontal lobes."
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
I've got
And
to
damn
hear
dirty
that
ape
eventually.
is nowhere to be heard.
Yeah.
I would not be
it's
surprised if that was in a script. I would not be surprised if that was in a script. You can go there's tons of websites. There's one that has a lot of the original scripts, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was in the script.
I would love to see that, yeah.
Because it's I'll send you the link when I go home. It's ironically Kim's script archive or something.
Wow.
It has Planet of the Apes Revisited, the original non-Armageddon version of Beneath.
So,
Wow.
can you explain one thing, being the apes expert that you are? Here's another thing that
When a mom and a when a mom and a dad love each other.
Why do I get these feelings in my forbidden zone? So in Escape,
Yeah.
remember when I believe it's Cornelius who is giving this speech about how the apes learn to talk,
Yes.
and he describes this whole thing about Milo.
Aldo.
Aldo. Is that
Aldo.
Aldo?
Who
Excuse
said
me.
no.
Aldo.
Aldo said
Aldo
no.
who said no.
Yes.
Now, before that, he had no idea how any of this had happened. In fact, he was looking for these archaeological
Yeah.
records of how this ape society came about.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden now he knows the name of the very first talking ape.
Well, what we
I can explain that.
oh,
Please.
here it comes.
They make shit up.
No, what I was
And
gonna,
in Jaws, where's the Coast Guard?
no, Matt. What I,
I lived on Martha's Vineyard for a while.
Matt, what I was going to say was with Cornelius, I believe he's a guy who's trying to find the truth, and he's an archaeologist, and he's trying to find the stuff. But we don't go into what they're all taught as little apes, And when he's reciting the story, this is the story that was told to him by his father and his
that
father.
can't-
But he,
That can't be
but he would have
possible.
brought that up in Apes, though, that when he
Right.
sees the talking doll, and
Right.
that's the idea.
Zaius
Like you're
didn't
saying.
even. No one even knew that
Right.
humans were ever above apes ever.
Yeah,
As
no,
far as
that's totally. If you want to, I don't go down those roads. I just go. It's,
makes it
it's a
even
bunch
more-
of guys sitting
No,
around.
we
I've
got
been
to
in,
clear this up.
I've been in too many.
I haven't slept in years.
I've done stuff with The Simpsons where people like, how could you do that? I was like, what? It was Wednesday. That's why it was Wednesday. When did they go home?
It makes it even more confusing because he says Aldo, and when I first heard that, that's Aldo in battle. But
Yeah.
it's not. It's just a coincidence that his name.
That's what I thought.
I think
Claude
you
Aiken's
could
character.
say if you wanted to go into those weeds.
All right, here we go. Bring it
Yeah.
home.
The Cornelius of 3978 didn't, but in the parallel universe where it took place in 3955, they did know.
Oh, shit.
Now, is Paul Dano, he's passed away, right? Because I think he's the only
I
person,
hope so.
He's the only person who could have answered these questions.
I can tell you what he would say. Oh, well, I didn't have a lot of time to write it. These scripts, we just sort of spat them out.
Is that the phone?
I have a better one. Yeah, I have a better one. Raiders of the Lost Ark, by the rules of screenwriting, Indiana Jones, completely irrelevant to the plot. The plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark is prevent the Nazis from getting the Ark. He fails. The Nazis open the Ark, and the Ark defends itself. Exactly what would have happened had he never shown up. He doesn't affect the story at all. And when I was working with Frank Darabont on Mob City, Frank, who wrote the original good version of the last Indiana Jones movie,
Right.
I pointed that out to him, and he just looked at me and, oh, you can't go down those roads. Oh, don't do
Well,
Raiders, we're going to do that. That's another episode.
Yeah.
What we're going to do.
well, any last ape things? Anecdotes?
In Conquest, when Caesar first sees Lisa in the bookstore or the hair salon, she walks out of the hair salon and then turns and looks back at him and does like a little kissy thing.
Yeah.
Behind her is a gorilla extra standing completely erect, leaning against the building with one hand on his hip.
Are you
And the
serious?
other hand on the building. And it's the most blatant thing in the world. And behind him is a sound guy. Not a guy in a black... we can see it
Wow,
now.
I gotta go back now.
Not a guy in
Fine.
a black turtleneck, just sitting there.
We're off break?
Well, Dana, I have to say, you are one amazing ape expert. Thank you. So
You got another one?
fantastic.
Yeah, there's three. Well, the three good blunders in Planet. They have the master shot of the ship in the lake.
Yeah.
With the hatch blown.
Yeah.
But they don't blow the hatch for like another 2 scenes. And I pointed that I pointed that out to Charlton Heston.
You did?
Because I did Politically Incorrect with him, Bill Marsh.
Wow.
And he went,
Wait, you were on Politically Incorrect with Charlton Heston?
Charlton Heston, yeah. I have
Oh, my God. What was that like?
Give a quick
Well, it was
run of the story.
awesome. We disagreed on everything.
Sure.
But I was very respectful. And like he said one thing about guns, and I made him joke about guns, and I got a big laugh, and we went right to a commercial, and it looked like I shut him up.
Right.
Well, it was not my intention. And he leans forward during the commercial, and I'm like, no. Okay. You can't be rude to me. I don't think you know what this would do to my... And he went, so you're an actor. Things are going well, obviously. You're here.
Are you serious?
And then we go back to the commercial. This hippie doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. And then commercial break. The Cobra plan. I started. He was old school.
Yeah.
Like he was a great guy. And it's like your side is not always right.
Right.
What Michael Moore did to him, I despise.
Me too.
Yeah, I have issues with that, yes.
So after the show, I have, we're in the green room leaving. I have a Christmas card that I had done from like 2 years ago with my face holding him on a leash from the courtroom scene. And it's the Conan thing where my face is over the grill, and I showed it to him, and he thought it was really funny. And his wife was with me. He said, Lydia, look, he made this for Christmas. Scissors and a paste pot. And I said, this is kind of dorky, but would you sign it? And he did. He was very sweet. And then he walked away. And Rob Cohen witnessed this. It's not apocryphal. He stopped and he turned. He walked all the way back, and he grabbed my shoulders with both hands. And he went, this might be dorky too, but I'd be glad to send you a picture from the film if you'd like. No. I said, I don't think I can put into words how much that would mean to me. And he went, give me your address.
Are you serious?
2 days later.
Wow, that's awesome.
8 by 10.
What a great story.
Yeah, just a great, and
Class act.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out what he wrote for about 4 years. It just looked like Dana. Happy couch. Charlton Heston.
What does it say?
It's a sloppy best wishes. But God damn it, he did it. And so they do that. The hatch is blown in the master, and then they blow it 2 shots later in the single. The dummy of Stewart They have the actress, the old lady playing Stewart.
Yes.
And then when the ship turns and sinks and there's water jetting,
Right.
it's the dummy of Stewart. And
Yeah.
you can tell because, unlike the actress, her arms are down by her sides. They're not crossed over her chest.
Interesting.
And it does look like a dumb. It does look
Right,
like
right.
I have to go back
doll.
and check the DVD now.
Interesting.
And when he is, there's a couple of neck slips where you can see the
Right,
person's
yeah,
neck
right.
under, and you can see Maurice Evans' teeth a couple times. But the real bad one is when they're throwing fruit at him and rocks
Right.
at him. There's one ape that just kind of, I have to show you, but they just go like.
So they just kind of like lob
It's
it.
the most
they lob it.
No, it's it drops out of his hand.
Really?
Yeah, if you go on Tumblr or go on YouTube
Yeah.
for Planet of the Apes bloopers, you'll
I'll
see
have
it.
to
They
check that out
isolate it.
tonight.
And also, if you have the Blu-ray
Yeah.
and you see Ape City,
Yeah.
it's so funny because we're not used to seeing this movie so clear.
Yeah, the forced perspective
The
is a
forced
little right, right.
perspective, it looks like it's an Ape City like shooting gallery at the Ape
Yeah.
amusement park.
Yeah, I don't believe in seeing movies clearer than they were intended to be seen at the time.
Right.
See, we're talking about, we watch these films, this film, like a bunch of times, and it's out of love and respect for
yeah.
this
That's
film.
the- despite these little
we
things,
absolutely
the
love.
film is
even if
magic.
even with these little bloopers and stuff, I still absolutely
course.
love to this day classic Planet of the
Yeah,
Apes.
and it's fun, and it's just we make fun of our friends. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Really.
Citizen Kane, the reason Joseph Cotton is wearing a visor in the old age home is because his wig didn't fit. And you can see over the course of the scene, his head grow as the wig starts to ride up slowly and slowly. These are all out of love.
But for all their
Except
flaws,
for Battle. Or Burton's.
Yeah. For all their flaws, we love these movies.
Absolutely.
And
So
it's
much.
nice to celebrate them with a fellow apeite.
Yes.
True.
Really?
Gould.
I want to go see Dawn one more time in the theater before it leaves. I'm actually trying
too.
to sneak away.
Really?
Well, movies leave theaters pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well,
that's true.
you got to get out and
Not
check
if-
it out
yeah.
as soon as you can.
If you haven't seen it,
You got to go
it's
see
Yeah,
it.
so
go
worth
check it
seeing.
out. Go check it out.
It's so great.
Well, this has been great, and please, of course, listen to Dana on his podcast.
Yes.
This month featuring Matt Weinhold.
How about that?
wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a great story about Beneath the Planet of the Apes that we did not tell on this podcast.
How about that?
We'll
So
have
we get
to-
more.
You cannot get enough apes.
Yeah, it's a lot of ape action coming up.
Ape on ape action.
This has been great, Dana.
Just the way I like
Dana,
it.
thank you very much,
Thank you,
man.
Dana.
This has been
This was
awesome.
awesome.
Loved having you.
I am Matt Weinhold.
I am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
Watch Planet of the Apes films.
Damn you.